Nagarjuna. Mahaprajnaparamita Sastra. Etienne Lamotte. Composed by the bodhisattva Nagarjuna and translated by the Tripitaka Dharmakaraya Kumarajiva of the land of Kucha. Under the later sin. Translated from the French. By Galongma Karma Migmi Chodron 2001. Chapter 50, Arriving at the Other Shore. Purvagama. First section, Arriving at the Other Shore. Sutra. Furthermore, O Sariputra, the bodhisattva-mahasattva who wishes to arrive at the other shore of conditioned and unconditioned dharmas must practice the perfection of wisdom. Sastra. Arriving at the other shore is coming precisely to the other shore of conditioned dharmas and unconditioned dharmas. By means of great wisdom, how does one get to know entirely, to exhaust entirely, this other shore? By analyzing the general characteristics and the specific characteristics of conditioned dharmas in many ways. And, in regard to the unconditioned dharmas, by understanding completely the four fruits of the religious life from srotaapanna up to Buddhahood. For the characteristics of conditioned and unconditioned dharmas, see what has been said above. Second section, Understanding Tathata, Dharmata and Anutpadikoti. Sutra. The bodhisattva-mahasattva must practice the perfection of wisdom if he wishes to understand all dharmas past, present and future, their dharma nature and their intrinsic non-arising. Sastra. Question. Above Tathata, the manner of existence, has already been spoken of. Why talk about it again here? Answer. Above, we talked simply of the Tathata of all dharmas. Here we are speaking about the Tathata of the three times. Above, we spoke briefly. Here we will speak at length. Above, we spoke of just the Tathata. Here we are speaking of three things: Tathata, Dharmata and Anutpadikoti. The Dharmata dharma nature is the Dharma dhatu fundamental element. The Anutpadikoti intrinsic non-arising is the Bhutakoti limit of truth. The Tathata of past dharmas is the Dharmata of past dharmas, and it is the same for future and present dharmas. Furthermore, the Tathata of past dharmas is the Tathata of future and present dharmas. The Tathata of present dharmas is the Tathata of past and present dharmas. Why? Because the nature of Tathata is beyond identity and diversity. Furthermore, as I have said above, there are two kinds of Tathata. The worldly Tathata and the supraworldly Tathata. In terms of the worldly Tathata, the three times are each different. In terms of the supraworldly Tathata, the three times are the same. As for the Dharmata, there are action dharmas and result dharmas, causes, conditions and fruits of retribution, in the same way that fire has heat as its nature and water has moistness as its nature. The causes, conditions and the fruits of retribution of these dharmas are distinguished. Each has its specific nature, as has been said in regard to the power of knowledge concerning the possible and the impossible. That is the worldly Dharmata. But if one examines and considers the nature of things, one enters into the system of non-arising and one does not depart from it. This is called Anutpadikoti, intrinsic non-arising. Objection of the Sarvastivadin. But in this Dharmata it is possible to discern the existence of the three times. The Anutpadikoti is future dharmas. How is there still the past and the present? The Abhidharma gives the answer. Dharmas having arising are the past and the present. Dharmas without arising are the future and unconditioned dharmas. That being so, why would you want the past and the present to be without arising? Answer. In many ways previously I have refuted the existence of dharma having birth. All dharmas are unborn. Why would the future be the only one to be without birth? Above, in interpreting the phrase at one time, I refuted the existence of the three times. The three times have only one characteristic, namely, the absence of nature. That is their nature of non-arising. Moreover, the Anutpada is called nirvana because nirvana does not arise and does not cease. From beginning to end, nirvana is absolute without rebirth and all dharmas are nirvana. This is why the Buddha speaks here of their Anutpadikoti, their intrinsic non-arising. Purvamgamana. Third section, acquiring precedence, etc. Sutra. Furthermore, O Sariputra, the bodhisattva-mahasattva must practice the perfection of wisdom if he wants to acquire precedence over all the Sravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, become the assistant of all the blessed Buddhas, participate in the close circle of all the blessed Buddhas, have a large following, acquire a following of bodhisattvas, and purify great offerings. Sastra. 1. Acquiring precedence over the Sravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas. Question. How can the bodhisattva who has not yet acquired the cessation of the impurities take precedence over the holy individuals whose impurities are destroyed? Answer. From his first production of the mind of body, the bodhisattva already takes precedence over all beings. What more can be said when he has practiced for many kalpas? The merits and knowledge of this bodhisattva are great. From lifetime to lifetime he has always been of great benefit to the Sravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas. Out of recognition of the benefits of the bodhisattva, beings venerate him, esteem him and respect him even in his earlier animal existences. Rurajataka. Thus, at one time the bodhisattva was a deer, his body golden in color, his antlers made of the 7 jewels, and 500 deer followed him as his servants. When the bodhisattva lived as a layperson among men, he was, during the fortunate periods, a noble Chakravartin king. But in periods of corruption, he was a great king protecting the Buddha Dharma and benefiting beings. When the bodhisattva left home to embrace the religious life, if the Dharma of a Buddha existed at that time, he was a great savior teacher for the world. But if, at that time, the Dharma of a Buddha did not exist, he was a great heretic teacher practicing the 4 immeasurables. Although they are without impurities, the Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas render only mediocre service. They are like a bushel of melted butter which, although shiny, is only the foam of the great ocean. The bodhisattva himself, despite his impure wisdom and his maturations, renders immense service.